And we are back with another edition of Fleetcast. And as usual, I am joined by the ever lovely Ben when we talk about Doctor Who. How have you been this week?
Not bad, thank you. How have you been?
I'm so tired. I went to a convention today, and yeah, I'm very, 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 very tired. It was really close to me, which was really nice. And there were lots of geeky stuff. There was Power Ranger stuff. There was lots of Doctor Who stuff. It was good, and I got to hang out with the nerdy up north people, but it was so tiring because I had little one with me. So you know,
Conventions are tiring without tiny humans, so add them into the mix. I can imagine
yes. But
it.
there was
Oh,
so much fantastic stuff. There was unreal. They had Sentai stuff. And
yep.
I nearly bought you a Power Ranger train set from the Sentai version that we always discuss.
The meme Zord.
The meme Zord, yes, but I nearly did buy it for Ben because I thought it would be perfect for him. And it's been my birth.
Eventually, I'm going to buy it.
You are,
Like it's going to happen,
yeah.
and then it's going to be displayed in my workplace in meme form.
Yes, very much. I will give the address for the people that had all the Zords and all had all the Power Ranger stuff. But I actually met a cosplayer who was playing the Dino Fury Red Ranger, but he had all the armor. It was amazing. I wish I'd gotten a photo.
Oh, wait. Are we talking he had just the armor for sort of the arm on? Are we talking he had the silver chest armor? Or are we talking the carnival mode from the Sentai,
I'm
where
not
he becomes a
entirely
human
sure.
sized Megazord?
I'm not entirely sure, but he did tell me that he had everything, but he wasn't
Uh,
wearing it today because it was hot. So he had the shoulder plates that were
uh,
and the big helmet.
Big help. That was probably the carnival mode.
Yeah, it looked epic, and I really wish I'd taken a picture of that. I'm gonna have a look and
W-
see in my pictures if I've got anything of the footage I
yeah.
took.
Was the bodysuit by any chance red with white going down the middle?
Possibly, but it
Okay.
was epic. Like if there was a
Yeah.
cosplay competition, he should have won because it was epic. It was really really
Rude.
great. Yeah, it was good, and it's also been my birthday, and I've got something to show you that I got that I've been waiting for this podcast. Okay, so as
Okay.
people know on the Discord, I have been going through a D&D journey, Dungeons and Dragons journey, and someone bought me from my D&D party. It's a dice tower. I have got the
Oh,
hardest dice tower. I love it. It comes up there.
I have to ask a very important question though.
Yes.
Is it bigger on the inside?
Well, I don't know. Dices go through it, and it actually doesn't stop the dice. So I'm guessing so. There's some type of timey whimey stuff going on, but I
Mm,
love it. And I got some TARDIS coloured dices to go with it too. So I had an epic birthday,
nice.
which was just brilliant. But yes, this week's episode, the girl who waited. Yeah, there is a lot about this episode that I forgot from my initial watch of it many, many, many moons ago because I did not realize how far back it actually was. I didn't realize it was season six. For some reason, I
Yeah.
just
Can I let you in on a little secret?
okay,
So I watched this last night.
okay.
It was only the third or fourth time I've ever watched this episode.
I can't say I've watched it more times. I don't think I've watched it more than that, which is a
Yeah.
shame because I love Matt Smith's run. Like he is potentially my doctor.
See, I, yes, Matt Smith was very, very good. And actually, a lot of people give Series 6 flack. Now,
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, I think that the tail end of Series 6 is
Yeah,
very poor.
yeah, it kind of does. I don't understand why. Let's have a quick look. Let me have a quick look at
Uh,
season six. It was so
it's,
we've had some amazing episodes like the Christmas Carol. Love that episode. Absolutely love that.
I have a love hate relationship with it, but
I can
that
understand. I
actually,
can understand. I can understand why, but we'd had like the Impossible Astronaut,
Oh,
Day of the Moon. We've had the Curse of the Black Spot, the Doctor's Wife, the Rebel Flesh. We've had, the
yeah.
Almost People. A good
The
amount of
Almost People and the Rebel Flesh is probably my favourite two-parter in Matt Smith's run.
But there's just so there are just so many good episodes, and I don't actually think this season has a bad episode. And
Uh,
I know you don't believe that. I know that you don't, and we've got slightly different views on it.
to be fair, my views partially stem from I'm not a James Corden fan at all. Um, Particularly after an incident where on his talk show he was challenged to some game and he was really smug about how he was winning, and then the question they gave him was, "Name one person who works on your show," and that was the one that tripped him up.
Oh, that's
Ironically, this is me doing the thing that I've critiqued you for on one or two occasions of not separating the actor from the character.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
issue is with James Corden. You can't, because he plays himself. That's all he does.
But you could say the same about Kirk, William Shatner.
Yeah,
Extra.
I make no
So,
secret of
so,
this.
so should we say that we're even now on this score?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not gonna try and win it because I don't want to do point scoring right now.
Yes, we've got enough scores to calculate, but at the end of this episode. So yes. So back to the girl who waited. As I said, I didn't realize this episode was just in season 6. I don't know. I think, but at least this episode, I did actually know what it was I was going into. I didn't get the episode completely
Uh,
wrong.
so
Um,
I didn't quite get it because I knew which one it was,
mhm,
and I knew that it was relatively Doctor Light, which instantly puts my back up as soon as I see
yeah,
that in the description.
yeah,
But it was a lot less Doctor Light than I remember. I
yeah. It
I
was.
remember him basically being at the very beginning and the very end, and then having
Yeah,
no input at all.
yeah. For a Doctor Light episode, because I don't think we've had a Doctor Light episode in Matt Smith's run until now.
I
I don't.
think this is the only Doctor Light episode in Matt Smith's run.
Yeah, that's. I don't
It,
remember.
it was more an RTD thing than a Moffat thing.
Yeah, because obviously David Tennant had quite a lot of them, didn't he?
Uh, yeah, David Tennant was basically the reason why they really did them. Um, Although, actually, no, saying that, there was one in Christopher Eccleston's because Father's Day was
Yeah,
sort of. It didn't quite do the Doctor Light bit because he's in about a half of it,
yeah,
but that was sort of the precursor. And
yeah.
then you got the travesty that is Love and Monsters.
Awkward episode, awkward. But it
Then
might
you
come up.
got then you got Blink, which I have a love hate relationship with.
Oh, I love Blink.
The only reason why I've got a love hate relationship with it is because my mum is obsessed. Like, whenever I say I want to put Doctor Who, she's like, "Oh, can we watch Blink?" And I'm like,
Well, I will watch
"Or
Blink with her anytime because
the
I
thing is,
love that episode.
she says, "Can we watch The Angels?" And I'm like, "Okay." And the thing is, when I want to watch The Angels, I want Flesh and Stone and Time of Angels, or I want Angels Take Manhattan.
Oh, but Blink is such a it's the classic one. It's the first
Uh,
one, and it's the one that everyone who goes, don't blink, don't blink.
yeah, I
You
just think that they
gotta
were
give it credit.
better written with Matt Smith than with David Tennant.
Oh, I don't know. I love Blink, but yes, this
Yeah.
episode. So going into this episode, we kind of knew we knew it was a Doctor Light one, but I didn't realize that the action starts literally before we even get the credits, the,
Mm.
the title, like going through the vortex and stuff. I didn't remember that bit, and I kind of was watching it and I was like, oh, Rory and the Doctor, they're going off and they're going on a little vacation. They go into the
Yeah.
room. Obviously, Amy's stayed behind because she's lost her mobile phone, which is such a girl thing to do. To be fair, I'm not gonna lie, I've done it many times. I've had to go
It,
back to get my phone.
yeah, I mean, funny enough, because I work with phones, I'm not going to go any further than that. But I often hear from people how, like 10 years ago, if you lost your phone, it was a minor
Yeah,
inconvenience, and it feels like someone has lopped off your left arm.
Yes, and what I liked about the scene was the fact the doctor mocked her, and she was like, "I am using it to take pictures."
I love this because it's so. I always thought that the Twitter bit first came in was it Day of the Doctor where he first mentions it.
Don't know.
It's either no, it's either Time of the Doctor or Day of the Doctor
Yeah,
where he criticizes Clara for being on Twitter.
right.
But then he does the same thing with Amy here, and I'm just like,
Yes.
oh, did they make this joke before? Because I always thought that joke was really left field,
Yeah, but no,
but
but yeah,
it's like, oh, he's actually made comments on this before.
yeah, and it's quite funny because obviously they go to the planet. The planet, is it Halapusia?
Appalachia.
Well, I'm not even going to try and say that. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Uh,
Um,
uh,
but they're unaware that the planet is suffering from Shen 7, which is a fatal plague that affects beings with two hearts, including the Doctor, and can kill them within a day, or in the
which
Doctor's case, prevents him from regenerating.
that's just it. It's the fact that because initially they just say, "Oh, it kills you in a day," and then later on they do actually address the elephant in the room of,
Yeah,
well, he just regenerated, and he's like, "No, it actually stops that as well."
yeah, yeah. And I find it quite funny that obviously they come out and the Rory is like, oh, it's doors, and the Doctor's like, oh, it's past the doors, it's past the doors, and
Yeah,
obviously,
every planet has doors.
yes. And they go into obviously Rory and the Doctor go into a room and they press one of the
They press the green button,
they press the green button. Yes. They go into the room. Amy comes out and she's shouting through the door, and they're saying, just press the button, come in. And she presses a different button. She presses the red button and she goes into the room, and she's separated from obviously Rory and the Doctor. Which
which I like that because in Matt Smith's run, there was this real thing where they would quite often either sideline Rory or send him off to do his own thing.
yeah,
And it was very much the same thing that they did in sort of the Christopher Eccleston David Tennant run with Mickey,
yes,
where sort of the Doctor would go off with Rose, or in this case Amy, and leave the bloke on his own.
yeah,
Here they sort of subvert that
yes,
because and also it does demonstrate just how good of like this bit at the start demonstrates just how good of a double act Matt Smith and Arthur Darvill actually were on this show.
yes. They were amazing together, and obviously, they're in this room, they find out they were actually in a kindness facility. The Which I find really, really, it kind of I've forgotten how kind of creepy this part was, where obviously we find out what the kindness facility is. It's basically those infected with the plague are placed in one of several thousand accelerated time streams, allowing them to live out their lives
In a day.
whilst in communication with their loved ones via a giant large lens in the waiting room.
And
And it's this is a part where I find the Doctor is very I don't want to say cold, but he comes across as quite factual.
yeah, see, I actually really like this scene because there's obviously the whole thing, as you say, it's classed as a kindness center.
Yeah,
But you've got that moment where Rory says, "You mean that, like, you put your family in there and they die in a day?" And the doctor says, "Well, no, because think of it this way: you could sit by their bedside and watch them die in a day, or you could sit in there and watch them live their whole life
yeah,
in that
yeah.
day."
And I think
And
it's very good playing on the fact that Rory is a nurse.
yeah,
And,
um,
but yeah, I find this scene quite for me,
yeah,
it was quite I was like, oh, it's a bit gut wrenching, and I hadn't remembered this part. I I remember that there'd been two time streams. I remember that there was, what's coming up, but I didn't remember this scene. And obviously we get to the point where Rory and the Doctor are trying to make contact with Amy, and they use
yeah,
the glass, the
yeah.
hourglass, and he's sonicking it and doing this what. And we kind of get a really, really interesting scene where Amy is by herself. And we do,
Mm.
like you said, we very much do not see Amy by herself in many scenes. She's with her boys, she's with her
Yeah.
boys. Um,
The only other times I can really think of where you see her by herself is in A Good Man Goes to War
yes,
and in Day of the Moon.
yes, yes.
Like outside of that, I can't actually think of any other times where they really have her on her own.
No, I can't think of anything that's spring into my mind. And obviously, we kind of realize that she is in one of
Mm.
the accelerated time zones, and it's really really difficult to see. It kind of reminds me of when Rory was in, when they were in, is it the doctor's
In
wife?
Doctor's Wife, and then Rory was an old man in one of the
Yeah,
bits.
yeah. And
See,
I feel like because this was the episode after it was, this is
well,
the episode after it, we
it's
kind
not the
of get,
direct episode after.
is it not?
No, because that was the one before the Almost People in the Rebel Flesh.
Oh yeah, no, it was Night Terrors before. It was Night Terrors previously, wasn't it?
Another one that was not great in Series 6.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm remembering now. Do you know, so this is really quite interesting because I was having a conversation with a Trekkie, Goodwill, who's on Trekking
Yeah,
Up North, and we were talking about the ending of Enterprise, and I have forgotten the order that it ends in. For some
yeah.
reason, I had the Mirror Universe plot right
Yep.
up against the really, really bad ending. Like
So,
to the point that I literally couldn't remember the fact that we'd had the Terra Nova
yeah.
incident with the explosion and Elizabeth and all that. I had literally wiped that, and I was, he was going to me, which plot do you like, which plot, and I was like the MU one, and he was like Terra Nova's not that, and I was like
Terra Nova was season 1. Do you mean Terra Prime?
Terra Prime, yes. See,
Yeah,
see,
yeah,
for the love of money, I cannot get the
yeah.
episode titles
Because
right.
Terra Prime and Demons should have been the final episode of the series.
Yes,
Like, it absolutely should have been. I mean, for God's sake, on my YouTube channel, which currently has two lists.
I do not accept that episode, the last
Uh,
episode we had.
right. So I have my own little YouTube channel where I started doing Trek rewrites, which I've not posted to for about 2 years, but I've got a load of scripts written for on my laptop. Um, and on that, the first episode I did a rewrite for was These Are the Voyages.
Yeah.
And the one bit which to this, I listened back to it recently, and I still second guess the fact that I still had Trip die.
But
But
if,
the difference is I actually had him die for a reason rather than
yeah,
just shock.
but yeah, so I do not remember the order of this episode. I thought this episode was right up against the Doctor's
The
wife.
Doctor's wife.
And I think it very much harks back to that episode, and we see where Rory was the one alone in that episode. We now see it
Mm.
as Amy is the one alone in this episode, and it's it's interesting to see how different Amy reacts to the situation. Um, and then we get the robots that appear with the hands,
I
which
don't mind the hands. The hands I
yeah,
have no problem with.
yes. So Amy escapes into the faculty, and here is the part that Ben really, really doesn't like, because when we were watching this episode, because both of us were pretty much watching it at the same time last night, do you want to go on and explain about this part? Because you were
So
freaked out.
yeah, so um context, one of my biggest phobias is needles. So there's a bit where the robot opens up its chest, syringe comes out.
Yeah.
I sort of go, but that's fine. Then loses the syringe, or no, sorry, Amy runs away from it. So then its face opens up. That I don't mind. And then you notice that it has a load of syringes all around the side, and it's a blinking dart gun to shoot people with these syringes, and my blood literally ran cold when I
Yeah,
was watching that. I was like, no, no,
it was
no, no,
it was
no.
it was a really horrid scene. Obviously Amy's escaped into the facility, and she's trying to evade these medical robots because
Yeah,
she's got bacteria.
which
Um,
we all do.
yes, but obviously she's got alien bacteria because she's from Earth. She's not from this
Yeah,
planet, and
so they
she's
can't identify it, and they assume it must be deadly.
yeah. So obviously she is racing through this facility trying to escape. She gets help from a AI interface, and
Yeah.
she escapes
Did
down
you
the.
notice? Did you notice the Easter egg in this scene? And funnily enough, it's an Easter egg for an episode that I mentioned earlier. So when the AI is going through the different zones,
Hmm.
it mentions the theme park zone. And it's, do you know what theme park it's based on? Disneyland Clom, which of
Oh,
course was the home planet of the Absorbaloff from Love and Monsters,
I didn't.
which then also got a shout out in Stolen Earth when the Doctor's comment is, Clom's gone, who'd want Clom?
Yeah, I've never twigged that, but yeah, Amy's
I,
Amy's
I,
Amy escapes into the
I
faculty.
only noticed last
Yeah,
night.
she escapes into the facility and she picks the park.
Mm,
Um, and obviously, even in the park, these medical bots are still chasing her, and it's really horrid. Like, I really don't like this scene. Oh, are you okay then?
yeah,
You're tired too, aren't you?
a little bit, but anyway, that's what I have this for. You can't actually see the Coke because my
Is it?
filter's getting
Oh,
rid of
is
it.
it? Oh, Coca-Cola.
Giant bottle of Coke.
Fair enough. But yeah, and obviously Amy escapes down into the depths of the facility, and she's in the dark, and we get the really creepy scene where the robot is walking and she kind of looks down and the hand just comes down and he's
Yep.
like that
Yeah,
wasn't.
because they heavily imply that the robots basically see with their hands.
Yeah, and luckily for Amy, she stands in this unit which has steam coming off of it, and the medical bots can no longer see her. um
Something thermal based vision.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously then she asks the interface what's going on and why it's avoiding, why it's not able to detect her, and it turns out it's because it's temporal engine. Is that right? Temporal engines?
I can't even remember that. I completely missed that line. I legitimately thought it was just because they saw heat signatures and she was in a steam vent.
No, she kind of she's hiding in like the temporal steam. Um
Okay.
and obviously the handbots, as I'm now going to refer to them, um yeah, and it's really horrid because obviously we then kind of go back to, as Amy's running away, we kind of go back to the Rory and the Doctor, who then meet their own handbots. And obviously the handbots explain the plague, and they fail
Mm,
to recognize, the Doctor or Rory as alien, and then they attempt to administer medicine to them.
mm,
And what I kind of like is the Doctor uses the lens, and he tells Amy to wait for them,
mm.
and then tries to lock onto Amy's time stream. And yeah, this is really kind of a fun scene between Rory and the Doctor, because we
Mm.
don't we don't get them often by themselves, and we don't often get them being the saviors to Amy.
Yeah.
It's
I
normally
t-
the other way round.
the last time I remember, so I am going to exclude A Good Man Goes to War here because that's the sort of obvious one. Prior to that, last time I remember them actually doing those two as sort of going off on their own being the big heroes was actually Vampires in Venice in series
Oh,
five,
that was a
which
good one.
which to be fair had my second favorite exchange between the two when when they both pull out the torches.
Yeah.
Just they have the typical bloke exchange.
Yes, yes. And obviously, what I find fun about this one is the Doctor is not able to leave the TARDIS once they're
Mm,
in Amos. like time stream
Yeah.
because of obviously the plague. So he gives Rory these glasses,
Mm.
and he gives him the lens, and he gives him his sonic screwdriver
Yeah.
so that the doctor can see and communicate with Rory.
Yeah.
But you've got a bit of an Easter egg around this, haven't you?
Yeah, because I'm 99% sure, and it may just be a prop reuse. There is a very real possibility it's just a prop reuse, but I'm pretty sure they're actually the same glasses that the 10th Doctor had, because they look exactly the same, which kind of makes me think, does that mean he's running around with spy glasses all the time in series
I
two
I
through
think it's
four?
probably just a prop reuse, but yeah, you were very excited about this last night when we were discussing it.
The worst bit is I didn't realise till three-quarters way through the episode, having been looking at it the whole way through, and I was like, hang on a minute.
Yeah. And obviously Rory goes out into the facility, and he finds a very, very old and bitter Amy. Fun fact about this,
Yeah.
okay? The actress originally was just going to be another actress, but Karen Gillian wanted to play the older version of herself. She
Hmm.
she specifically asked to do it when they were just going to get another actress, because she wanted to try out a different role for
Yeah.
Amy, and I think she did so well because the two roles are very, very different. If you notice
Yeah.
around the older Amy, her voice is very low,
Hmm.
and that makeup must have taken a very, very
A
long time.
little while, yeah.
Yeah,
Also, but fun fact: all three of the primary cast members in this episode, at one point or another, have old person makeup on in
they do.
Doctor
Yeah,
Who.
yeah, they do. Yeah, but that's yeah, that is true because we do
Yeah.
forget that. But yeah, we meet a very old Amy who's been waiting 36 years for the Doctor, and she
Yeah.
is very, very
What is
upset.
it? 36 years, 2 weeks, and something like that. Because she actually goes down to the hour
Oh,
as well.
I didn't get from that, but obviously she's been hiding in the
Yeah.
sandbox. And it's this point, the heart-wrenching realization for the Doctor that they've mistakenly latched onto the wrong time stream.
Mm.
And it's a really interesting lot of scenes where Rory is trying to get the older version of his wife to help him. Um,
Mm.
but she kind of refuses, knowing that if the younger Amy is rescued, she's gonna disappear.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously the Doctor warns Rory that by taking the older Amy on the TARDIS, they
They
kind of
do mean the younger one.
yeah, they kind of can't rescue the younger one, and
Mm.
it's this role is very, very good.
Mm.
You know, I I don't think we've kind of seen this depth from either of the actors who play Amy and Rory before. I don't think we've kind of
Yeah.
had this depth.
Yeah, because again, they've tried it in a couple of places.
Hmm.
Like, for example, they tried it in the Dream Lord episode, but the
Yeah,
problem is they then have the Doctor basically snatch it off of them
yeah,
right at the end and go, "No, stuff letting you guys pick what's going to happen. I'm doing what I want to do."
yeah. Um, and I actually had forgotten just how gut wrenching this episode was. Um,
Yeah, Uh, there's
it
a lot of pathos in this episode.
Yes. And obviously I wrote a couple of notes. I'm gonna just have a quick look and see if I've got something that I from this scene that did actually make me laugh. So the first scene between Rory and older Rory, they are commenting on what are they commenting on? They're commenting on something about the Doctor's wearing, and I've got
I'm
Fez is
better than a
mentioned.
Fez.
The Fez is mentioned. I'm like, because I love the Fez. For anyone who doesn't know, I absolutely love the Doctor wearing a fez. There is an epic video on YouTube where the Doctor is just in love with the fez, and there's this really funny interview between the showrunners at the time where they are going on about how They're going to
That
give him
they
a fez.
knew that giving Matt Smith a fez would lead to him wanting to always wear the fez and never take it off.
Yeah, and then obviously Steve Moffat was like,
Stephen Moffat's
"I'm
response
going to kill
was,
the
"I'm
fez."
going to kill the
Yeah,
fez."
it's literally my favourite little anecdote from Matt Smith's run because I can just see it happening. Because Matt Smith is adorable.
the
He's basically like an adorable little baby giraffe throughout this whole
the
series, and
the thing
yeah,
is as well, they keep calling back. They don't even call back to the fact that the Doctor wore a fez one time. They keep calling back to Matt Smith liking fezzes.
yeah, yeah.
Because I refer you to Day of the Doctor, where he walks past it, he sticks it on, and Clara's comment is, "One day you're got like they're calling back to the whole he'll never want to take it off," and she says, "One day you're going to just walk past a fez,"
It's just like
and
never gonna happen.
he literally just says, "Never gonna happen."
And yeah, it's really interesting. And this scene, I was like, oh. But then we get more of the handbots, and yeah, this is just, I really don't like this. And obviously they go down back down into the depths, and we pass the sign that younger Amy made 36 years before, where she puts something like Doctor waiting inside, and we kind
Yeah,
of see that it's faded, it's ruined, and
yeah.
we kind of get the scene where
Well, I mean, the fact that there's still anything there when she wrote it in lipstick 36 years earlier is really impressive.
I don't know. It doesn't look like it rains or anything. It's probably one of those climate control places, so it'll be fine.
Mm,
It's really good lipstick. There are some really good lipsticks out there, I can assure you.
I'm just thinking, does it not never get cleaned?
But it's not. She's the only one in the facility, so
Yeah, but presumably if it's a medical facility, they'd clean it still. And
I don't know. But yeah, so we kind of go down. We go
then
down
again,
into
when your only patient keeps killing your robots, that might
well,
be a bit
yeah,
of a put off to
yeah.
cleaning.
But we obviously older Amy goes down to the depths again as she shows where she's been hiding, and we meet Rory the robot, which is so cute. Did you see like when she'd obviously the robots that are in this episode are basically just blank faces
So
with
she's
these
drawn a face
weird
on him.
hands, but she's obviously chopped the hands off this these robots and she's put a face on it, and it's just but the hair, did you see the part with did you see the part with the hair?
No, I didn't notice that.
I think she'd put hair or something on this robot because obviously she then says Rory sit, and obviously both Rorys. I'm like
Yes.
I'd forgotten how good Rory is. Like I'd forgotten just how
Hmm.
good of a character Rory is, and this episode is blowing my mind with just how
Hmm.
well Arthur is
The
it Arthur
Arthur Darville.
Darville he plays the role.
The
Um,
the thing is, because he is just generally a very good actor.
yes,
I mean, I don't know if you ever watched Legends of Tomorrow. It was a DC show.
of course I had. I was
Uh,
addicted to it.
yeah, he was. It went off the rails a bit
Yeah,
towards the end.
yeah. But
Um,
right at the beginning, it was really good.
yeah, it was good until they got rid of most of the original cast, and then it kind of lost it a bit. Although
Yeah,
I did love Steel.
I just didn't realize just how good of an actor he is. And
Yeah,
I think season 6 is his season. You know,
yeah,
I feel very much season 5 he was the
he's
Mickey
there.
he was the Mickey of the show.
Hmm.
But I
I
feel very much season 6 he got companion status, and he was
he actually follows in season 5 and 6 a similar trajectory to Mickey. In that he's sort of initially portrayed as very feckless in his first series that he's
yeah.
in, and then he's actually useful in his second one.
I don't think Mickey got as much character development as
Mickey
Rory.
suffered for the fact that they put him on the TARDIS for 2 stories and then wrote him out immediately.
Yeah, and
Um,
Rory isn't getting this. You know, he's literally in every plot and story now until obviously he leaves the show, and this is one of his best episodes. And I literally
Yeah.
It's such a good episode, and as we kind of move on the episode, I don't know about you. Have you ever seen The Walking Dead?
I've literally watched the first episode. I wasn't a.
Okay, so
It didn't grab me.
there's a character in the show called Michonne, and she's
Okay.
basically she how she appears in the comics and the show is she's literally got a hood with a samurai sword,
Ooh.
and she is basically leading around these two zombies with chains. And this is the whole vibe I get from older Amy. You know, she's got her robot that's got no hands,
Mm-hmm.
and she's got a samurai sword, and I was just like, yes, strong,
Which
independent woman, yes.
am I the only one who wondered where she got the sword?
No, because there's lots of different zones. I just gathered that she'd gone through the zones, and she's got sports equipment and things like that.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of sports shops you've been going to, but none of mine have samurai swords.
Um, but I just yeah, that was kind of the vibe I've got that
Yeah.
she'd been elsewhere and she'd picked up all the stuff that she needed. Um, yeah, and we kind of I feel very much like at this point where they're down in the depths, and the Rory's trying to talk the older version into helping him. Um, I think it's really interesting that we have the scene where basically both Amers are talking together, and the older Amy only agrees to help if the doctor takes her, and obviously the
See,
doctor, for some reason, agrees. And he manages to bring both Amys, sorry, into the same time stream.
also, what I like here is I like the fact that during the conversation between the two Amys, the older one actually says, "I remember this.
Yeah,
I remember the older version of me telling me that she's not going to help
yeah.
because she will cease to exist."
Mhm. And that's really quite a big thing because
Hmm.
you can imagine that has played on Amy's mind for 36 years, and it kind of feels it's a bit of a weird concept for a
Uh,
character.
or it's possible that she only actually remembers it at that point because it could fall into that same category as you get when the Doctor meets himself, and because the timeline ends up out of sync, he can't retain it
Yeah, yeah,
until until he's the older version of him in that
yeah,
conversation.
maybe, but it's kind of it's a bit heartbreaking if that
Mm,
Amy who was 36 years ago remembers it, and
mm,
she remembers it for the whole time, and
mm,
that kind of makes her more and more angry to the point that
mm.
she's got all her devices, and she is basically the doctor. She's acting like the doctor.
Yet,
Um,
which she keeps referring to as a sonic probe.
yeah, yeah, and she kind of like pretends that she's not the doctor, but she pretty much is the doctor.
Mm,
Yeah, it's kind of this episode kind of just makes me sad. It's a very good episode, but it kind of just makes me
mm,
sad at this point because I kind of think, oh, young Amy had this heartbreak of knowing that in the future her older self won't help her, and I
mm,
just feel more that instead of the doctor not returning for her, knowing that that was going to happen, that her older
mm.
self was going to refuse, kind of
See,
made it part of her life how it is.
see, this is the other reason why I do subscribe to that. She couldn't remember it until that point because she makes reference earlier on to thinking they'd abandoned her,
Yeah.
whereas there, obviously, she knows that they just end up coming too late.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit timey wimey wibbly wobbly.
Yeah, it's a big ball.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely a big ball. Um, and then we kind of get towards the last couple of scenes.
and the single best moment where it's like, well, where the Doctor's like, well, the two Amy's need to just sync up, and the way they did Macarena.
For any person who is a girl who was who subscribed to the 90s,
It's not
we
just
I
girls,
know, but it's mostly girls. Okay,
really.
But whenever I've been to parties, it's mostly girls doing the Macarena.
No, me and the lads always do the Macarena because we find it funny.
Oh, bless you. But yeah, so if you're a girl that's been around in the 90s, the Macarena is basically part of your DNA. And yes, I really, really love the fact that this was the strong force that brought both Amy's into the same
Yeah.
time zone. It could have been anything, but it was the Macarena. And I think this is another point of where Doctor Who does comedy
Mm.
with seriousness so well.
Well,
This is one of those scenes where we've had the
yeah.
Master singing Rasputin, or we've had um,
Yeah.
the Toy Maker singing his songs and doing
Dancing to spice up your
yeah,
life.
spice up your life. It's very on par with those type of things.
Yeah.
Um,
What I love is the fact that they also, for once, it acknowledges how silly it is because Rory goes, "Are they doing the Macarena?"
yes, and it's really acknowledged, but obviously this then leads to the fact that the Doctor cannot help them because the
Mm.
glasses explode. Um,
Because they short out.
yeah. Um, and then we kind of get that really nice scene between both Amy's where they're saying the same thing to Rory, and then Rory is just getting more and more
And
like,
also where the two Amy's start getting annoyed at each other because they're both saying the same thing and they both keep saying, "Oh, no, you stop it! No, you stop it!"
yeah. And then they're both fighting over Rory, and it's interesting.
I,
It's interesting. Obviously, you've got the future. You've got the
I,
older Amy saying, "Well, I've had him longer. I thought about him longer," and
uh,
yeah,
see here, and this is where I'm going to sound incredibly, incredibly callous. Like, because the old Amy even says, "Well, you're going to need to pick,"
yeah,
and it's like, in no conceivable reality would he pick the older one,
yeah,
and so you can make the argument, which I'm sure everyone's going to say this is what I'm thinking of, because she's the older one. But my actual line of thinking here is the fact that she has 36 years of additional memories on top. People are the sum of their experiences. Yes, I just quoted Peter Davison's Doctor at you. Um, Actually, the line was a man. But anyway, the point is, a person is the sum of their experiences, and if she's got an extra 36 years, she is no longer the same person as younger Amy.
yeah,
And younger Amy is the person that he loves. So logically, there is no way that he actually can pick the older one.
yeah.
And
Even with the kiss and
and
all
also
those emotions.
what I do like here, because one of the things with Amy is, say what you will, the character is at best a little bit arrogant,
Yeah,
at worst full on narcissistic.
yeah,
And that very much shows in the older Amy there.
yes, yes. Very, very much.
Because,
It's totally a red flag in the older Amy.
yeah.
It very much is showing the fact that she is has all these very quite poor qualities.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, and then we kind of get into the scene that breaks my heart because obviously they get through to the gallery
Yeah.
and they fight through the handbots, and young Amy gets hit by in the hand with the what do they call it, the
Anesthetic.
anesthetic hand, and she
Yeah.
falls unconscious. So Rory picks her up and they
Yeah.
fight through
Yeah.
these handbots and get into the TARDIS, and older Amy is still following.
And then we get to see, once again, that lovely little Machiavellian bit about the Doctor,
Yeah,
where he what it like the one trait that you can definitively say he has is he is a master manipulator,
Yes.
and that is very much what he has been doing here.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's even an argument of he's used the fact that he knows Amy, he knows how she thinks.
Yeah. And obviously the doctor slams the door on
Mm,
the older
old
version,
Amy.
and
And then he explains there's no way that the TARDIS could actually hold back that paradox, which
yes.
makes sense. I refer you back to Last of the Time Lords.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, oh, it just,
And the thing is, this is where you get my favourite line in the episode,
yeah.
which is the part where the Doctor point blank puts Rory's hand on a lock and
Yes.
tells him, "You have to choose." And
Yes.
Rory's response is, "That's not fair. You're trying to turn me into you."
Yes.
Which, to be fair, is what the Doctor does with just about all of them. All he ever does is try to turn them into him.
Yes. And obviously through the door, the older Rory tells, sorry, the older Amy tells Rory, I was confused then. Too many, there's too many people. The older Amy tells Rory that she loves him and that he shouldn't let her in. Um,
Mm,
and it's just
mm,
awful. And obviously she says that seeing Rory carry the younger Amy to the TARDIS made her
mm.
realise just how much she loves him and how she'd forgotten how much she loved being the
Yeah.
Amy Pond in the TARDIS with Rory Williams. And
Mm,
obviously, there's tears rolling down both their faces, but Rory relocks the door, apologising to her.
mm,
And it's just really horrid. The older Amy, she kind of turns away from the TARDIS and she kind of and she's surrounded by all these handbots. Um, and they keep saying to her, "Do not be alarmed. This is a kindness." And I'm like, mm. And obviously she asks
mm.
the interface to see Earth for one last time, and
Yeah.
the hologram of the Earth appears, and she asks the interface, which I just love. She goes, "So have I ever told you about the boy that I met there who pretended to be in a band?" And obviously, the handbots step through the hologram and
Yeah.
put Amy to sleep. Um,
Mm,
and just as obviously it's they're about to put her to sleep. The TARDIS engines is heard,
yeah.
and
And
older
then that
Amy,
whole timeline stops being a thing.
yeah, and it's interesting because we then get the scene where we kind of see Rory's anger,
Mm,
and he kind of asks the Doctor if he knew whether saving both Amy's wasn't possible, and he kind of dodges the answer, insisting that he did promise to save her. What I don't like is the fact that Rory accepts this kind of so easily.
yeah. See, yeah, because also it plays back into the it plays back into Day of the Moon, um, and yeah, uh, Impossible Astronaut,
Hmm.
where, as River Song says, rule one, the Doctor lies,
Doctor lies, yeah,
and it's the implication I took from it is he worked it out in basically the exact point where he said it.
yeah,
Particularly when you look at the bit where he's seemingly trying to work it out and
yeah,
like how he could do it. He's like, "Well, I guess I could do." And it's like he never phrases it as "I guess" or "I
yeah,
suppose." It's always "I can."
yeah,
As soon as he's doing that, it's like he's lying to get what he wants.
yeah. It's just horrid, and the fact that when Amy awakes and she asks about her older self, the
Mm,
Doctor can just give her a look, and that's kind of where the episode ends.
mm,
Um, it kind of doesn't give any more answers to the fact that the Doctor gets kind of he doesn't have to explain it to his companion properly, and it always makes me wonder if Amy ever finds out. And yeah, it's just it kind of leaves it on a bit of a I don't want to say a cliffhanger because I don't feel that it's a cliff and we've got many unanswered questions, but I kind of always do wonder if they did tell Amy the truth about her older self.
I think that she could probably infer
Hmm.
quite easily.
Okay, so what's the score that you're giving this? Because this is a score out of handbots.
I wish that you hadn't told me that. I mean, admittedly, that was going to be the question I was going to ask, but I'm giving it a 4.
Okay.
Um, Ironically, purely off of just how much pathos there actually is in this episode, and one of them is very much just for that little exchange between the Doctor and Rory at the TARDIS door.
Yes. Okay. I am going to give it
Mm-hmm.
5
Wow.
because I do think this episode kind of covers everything for me. It's got a storyline. It's got character development. It's
Yeah.
got timey wimey.
Mhm.
Um, it's more a companion episode.
Yeah.
And we've got some fantastic things that we kind of see. We kind
Uh,
of got things that hark back to other other things that have been mentioned previously. So we've got like the the doctor mentions that he's jettisoned parts of the TARDIS for power where he's done that previously.
well,
Um
I mean, that happened in the classic series in Logopolis. He jettisoned the Zero Room. It happened in The Doctor's Wife, where House jettisoned the old TARDIS control room. No, tell a lie, he jettisoned several other rooms. He deleted the old TARDIS control room, which I was really annoyed at because it's like, but David
It's
Tennant's.
got Melda Staunton in, who is the interface, which I think is really funny. The fact that they've
It,
got this
who?
Imelda Staunton, who is in The Crown. She's plays
That.
in Harry Potter. She is Umbridge.
Okay.
So I think it's what I think is quite interesting is no one realizes that, and that's one of my little facts that she is such an acclaimed actress that she plays such a small part in this episode.
Well,
Um,
I refer you to Miriam Margolis in the Star Beast.
yes, yes. And I think the fact that I just really feel like McRae, who obviously did a lot of the work in this, and obviously his attempt at a narrative of the traditional Steve Moffat own time Benton stories, I think he did really, really well, and I think
Mm.
it's such a good plot that even now I'm not entirely sure I've wrapped my head around it enough, which to me is a very good sign of a good story.
Mm.
But yeah, it's one of my top episodes. And you're very
Yeah,
surprised that I've given it 5 handbots, aren't you?
yeah. I was expecting a 4 as well.
No, I've given it a 5 because to me it
Yeah,
hits all my check plots for
yeah.
a good plot.
Yeah, I know that you said to me earlier that it was going to be a high one.
Yes.
To be fair, because I when I started watching it yesterday, I was fully expecting to be giving it a 1 or a 2.
Hmm.
Um, but I suppose we'll be saving that for, well, I'm preempting it now, and I hope to be proven wrong. But you've got to see either a 0 or a 1 probably come Love and Monsters.
Yes. But yeah, I'm just still very much I might have to watch a couple more episodes from this season. I'm actually kind of hoping in the time and why we will we get more of this season because I actually really enjoy. I'd
I
forgotten
hope
how much I had enjoyed it. But you're
I
desperate for
hope
a
we get
David Tennant, aren't you?
Christopher Eccleston or David Tennant.
Okay, that's
Um,
interesting.
but if we get Christopher Eccleston, I have a couple of very specific episodes I want to see.
Okay, well, I don't control the timey wimey wheel, and neither do you. But should we see? Should we see what's
Hang
going to
on.
happen on it?
Yeah, I was going
Okay,
to try to snap my fingers to see if it works.
okay. Let's. Oh, where's it gone? There we go. Okay, I'm clicking the button now.
Drum roll, please.
Huh. We've had a bit of a problem here. For some reason, it's a blank one, but I don't know why there's blank ones.
Ah,
So I am going to re-roll it because I don't know why there's a blank one.
right.
So 1 second.
We appear to be experiencing technical difficulties.
Oh, Ben, you're not gonna like it.
Oh no. What is it?
Season 12, The Timeless Children.
Oh, good. The worst thing to ever happen to Doctor. Tell a lie. This is probably gonna be my zero.
Okay.
It's fine. Worst Doctor, worst episode. I can live with it.
Yes. The Timeless Children, which for anyone who has never
Watch
watched
Doctor
it,
Who
it's basically the season 10 final
season.
episode. Pardon?
But season 12 final episode. Season 10's final episode
Oh
was
yeah,
the
sorry,
Doctor Falls.
it's episode 10, season 12. Yes, you
Yeah,
are right.
yeah. Uh, so I can tell you ahead of time. High points has the Master. Yes.
Okay.
Low
Yeah.
points. Yes.
So this episode, basically, the blip for it is in the epic and an emotional series final. The Cybermen are on the march as the last remaining humans are ruthlessly hunted down. Graham, Ryan, and Yaz face a terrifying fight to survive. Civilizations fall, others rise anew, lies are exposed, truths are revealed, battles are fought, and the Doctor is trapped and alone. Doom, doom,
Ah,
doom.
we do actually have a slight issue here, though.
What's that?
Well, the Timeless Children was actually part three of a story.
Mm.
It claims to be part of a two-part story, but frankly, that two-part story starts in the previous episode.
Okay, so are we watching both? Are we going to watch both episodes then?
Well,
Or do you
you
want, or do you
it
just want
needs
to watch?
we need to watch a set. We need to do essentially the Cybermen and Timeless Children together because that is a definitive two-parter.
Okay.
Uh, my issue is the haunting of Villa Diodati actually does the setup for that. So, what I'm really asking here is do we want to do just parts one and two, or do we want to do parts 0, 1, and 2?
1 and 2.
Okay, so we're going to skip the Mary Shelley episode that leads into it.
Yeah, because I feel like Mary Shelley's episode is, though it leads into it, it's not necessarily involved in it per se. So yeah, so we're gonna do, so the next episode we are gonna
Okay.
review
Ascension of the Cybermen,
Men
Timeless
and
Children.
Timeless Child. And I, for next time, will figure out what is going on with the timey wimey will and figure out why there is blank categories because there shouldn't be blank ones.
Well, it's a big ball of wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
Yeah, stuff has definitely got into it, but that was hilarious. If you'd seen my face, I was like, huh?
Yeah.
But yes, so next time that would be an interesting one because we've not done a double bill on these
Also,
on 2 episodes before.
there's another reason it's going to be very interesting. Because I'm not going to lie, I kind of forgot that there was a part 2 in between the Mary Shelley one and the Timeless Children. I thought it went Mary Shelley, then that.
No, I always knew there was 2 parts, but yeah.
I knew
So
there was 2 parts, but I thought part 1 was Mary Shelley.
no, no,
And
no.
it's only when I just looked at it, I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. Part 1 is actually one of, in my opinion, the good episodes of that season. So this is going
Well,
to be a bit of a dichotomy for me.
yes, but I think we'll definitely leave that for next episode. But yeah, I want to talk about something before we escape because we've had some Doctor Who news this week, and I'm very excited about one of them. I'm very excited that we have got confirmation that River Song is returning.
I am very, very happy with getting more Alex Kingston. My
Okay.
my only gripe
Right.
is I'm like, but unless it is going to be post Silence in the Library, I kind of don't want it at the same time because I don't want to mess with the plot line they've done there.
I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but it more than likely is going to be in between. It's probably going to be before that.
Yeah, as I say, I'm hoping they're going to find a way to like you use the AI one from the end of that
Yeah.
just so that we don't end up hurting Husbands of River Song in the process.
Yeah, and obviously we've had some other news as well. We've kind of had some news that they've casted the actress Genesis Linia, who is on Death in Paradise and the ITV drama You and Me for a role in
which
next season. It'll be next season now.
which series of Death in Paradise?
It's the
Because
current one. So she is
right,
she's the daughter of
oh,
the
Commissioner.
commissioner. Yeah, that's it. That's the
Yeah,
word I was looking for.
ironically, because I stopped watching, um, well, partway through the Ardlo Hanlon run. Ardlo
Gotta
Hanlon
watch
run.
it. I'm addicted.
Like the thing is, I absolutely loved it. It's
Yeah.
just a case of it got to a certain point where I'm like, no, because every time I get to the point where I like the lead character, you get rid of the lead
You've got
character.
to, you've got to watch it. You've got to keep watching it. I'm gonna poke you because Death in Paradise is my comfort blanket television show, and it's so good with the next one, and it's a really interesting
Does it
storyline.
does it live up to the first five
Yeah,
series? Okay,
if not
because
better. Yeah,
let's take it
no,
easy
it's
here,
it's
Beck.
it's that good, and I'm saying this as someone who has watched through the seasons about 20, 30 times because it's on iPlayer and I can just keep watching it.
Yeah, I've watched the first few more times than I care to count.
Yeah, and there's been some other Doctor Who news. Obviously, the Doctor Who maker Bad Wolf have to spend 60 million in Wales after being handed government money, which I think is quite good for Cardiff and where they film Doctor
Hmm,
Who. Have you ever been to
yeah.
Cardiff?
Yes, I went there for my friend's stag do last year.
Okay, so did you go to the square? Did you see the Yanto and Jack memorial?
No, we didn't get to. Oh, I didn't get to go
Oh
there.
my God, I forgot to tell you. Guess who were at the Northeast Comic Con?
Who? John Barrowman,
And
Gareth David Lloyd.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm not gonna lie. I'm so excited. I am very much looking forward to this Comic Con that I'm gonna have to go to it. I'm gonna have to. If you'd seen how I was last year when I got to see Paul McGann, Peter Davison, and
Oh, that's a point. So you said they've got to spend 60 million a
yeah,
year. Okay, Paul McGann series.
well, they've got to spend it in Wells, so
That's
they've got
that's
to do the
fine.
film. They've got to do the
They
film
can
and everything and everything.
that's fine. They can film it in Wales. Just Paul McGann series. I
Yes,
will die on this hill.
fair enough. That's not a bad one, but it's I find it very interesting because if they're making these deals, does that necessarily mean that Disney dollars are not as involved?
Either that or their budget is stupidly high.
Uh-huh. Because 60 million, I don't remember them getting that much for earlier seasons.
No, because I swear I am not going on Google right now um, and looking up what's its budget per episode.
I would not be surprised if it was not something ridiculous.
Uh, right, so the current season.
Yeah.
or rather, the new season of Doctor Who, according to a interview, so individual episodes have a cost of £1 to £3 million, but the report claimed that the new episode budget would be consistently around 10 million. Um, please note this is just like the top
Yeah,
thing
but
when I type in Doctor.
that's a whole lot of money. And
Ten
that's
million is the sort of budget that Game of Thrones was getting.
yeah, that's some commitment into money. But do you have any other Doctor Who news that you think we should share?
None that I can think of offhand.
Do you have any other nerdy news that you've seen that you want to share that you're very excited about? Other than the first episode of the new Sentai series is really, really good, and I watched it this morning.
I didn't even realize it started yet.
Yeah. I really like the Pink Ranger,
Okay, I
which
may look
is
into
not
this.
that's not unusual for me because I do like Pink Rangers, but I really do like her. She's really relatable.
Yeah, there's no other nerdy news that I can think of. Does not mean there isn't any. It just means that I'm tired, man.
We're tired.
My
We're
my
tired.
brain is not working.
Okay, well, on that note, I think then we should end the episode. Stay nerdy, stay safe, keep writing. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.